The Comedy Clash is here. Single elimination. Winner goes on, loser goes home. Who's headed to the semifinal round and who's headed home to think about what they did? AfterBuzz TV, it's time to bring the funny. You ready? Let's go.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah, we're here to bring the funny. 5 episodes in, you go at halftime, y'all. Of course, I am Flobo Boyce. I'm so happy to be a part of your life. And Second Screens bring the funny episode 5, the Comedy Clash #1. So much to talk about. We went head to head with comedy, with puppets and variety and music and all that. But before we even touch upon all that, let's introduce our panel. On my far, far left, he is, quote, the international man of mystery, Ben Schnau.
That's correct. Good evening, everybody. I'm ready to go.
Very, very villainous of you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I'm sounding very American.
Batman.
Yeah, exactly, right? I sound very American today. I'm not German anymore, all right?
You know what? I can't even do a German accent. So you win that. You win our clash. That's right. To his right, we have the globe-trotting wheeler and dealer, Zakiyyah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I like that intro.
Yeah, I do it
You're
for
doing
you.
amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
try to switch
you.
it up. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, what's up? And to our right, we have the universal Jane of all trades, Jackie Nova. How you doing, Jackie?
I'm doing fabulous, especially with our guests here.
Oh, that's right. We got a special
Estoy haciendo
guest.
muy bien, mi amor. Jackie Nova.
Frangela's in the house. Give it up for Frangela, everybody.
Wow, you guys look amazing.
Where are you guys coming from, actually? Are you just like world tour? You sort of stop in?
You know
places with
what?
presence?
We stepped off the jet.
Okay.
And we were like, you know what? No, we got to go. We got to get up into AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
TV,
We
right.
were gonna go hang out with Chrissy, Teigen,
I got you.
Foxworthy, and Kenan, and then we're like, no, they can wait.
P.
Yep.
Diddy's probably calling you asking for a ride and everything. I got you. You already know,
Wow.
man. Jet fuel costs way too much.
Can we come too? Can we join you guys?
That's my plan.
Oh, so we're heading on a jet.
You know I want to see Chrissy.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
I mean,
that was the first love you confessed in the first episode.
That's true.
Just the first.
Just so you ladies know, he's got several love interests.
that's not true.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to Morgan J today. Comedy Clash 1. We had 4 clashes. With eight acts and 4 clashes. Moving on. Overall thoughts of the show. We'll start with you, Zakiyyah. What do you thought of today's episode?
Honestly, this is what I've been waiting for. The clash, the head-on-head, it was pretty harsh because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going home right now? Right now? So we're picking right now. But again, it was what I was waiting for, and I thought it was amazing. Everyone did really good, so it's hard for me to even choose who should go home.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, it was difficult to choose because they literally took all the notes and they stepped it up. So I was like, who I thought maybe shouldn't have fully gone through is like, what? You just got that much better that quick? Like, oh, you had some stuff hiding, you had some material hiding that's like the bomb. And I mean, they just cleverly used the notes. And it was hard to pick. Yes.
I mean, I feel like as the audience, what I felt personally is that now it was even more obvious to me that we have the same kind of comedy styles, like fighting against each other, which makes it even harder for me because before we had different styles, right? So it was basically like not very easy to compare with each other, right? Now you had the same kind of idea by doing something in a different way, and that was it was tough for me. It was hard.
It's a mirror universe for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a competition show. I'm going to ask you guys this. I know it's a competition show, but when they told you, yeah, good job in open mic, you're going to the comedy clash, like what goes through your mind as a performer? Like, what's the next step? Like, is it going to be like a battle?
Well, yeah, it's like stepping it into the octagon.
Right.
You know?
Keep your hands up.
They really did keep it a secret.
They really did.
Up until right before you were gonna do it, so we didn't know. And people don't know until right before the show.
Right. Yeah, and you see people that you like and you admire, and having to go up against each other, and we, the person we were up against, you're like, you support women in comedy,
right?
We have no idea who that is.
No, I totally understand that, but I guess
it could be a man,
it could be a dog,
we don't know.
Or a puppet.
It was a dog. It was a dog. Maybe
I can tell you it was not going to be. Poor Randy Feltface. He was in the first class, but we'll get to that in a minute.
There's a lot of felt prejudice.
Yeah,
It's just interesting, right?
A lot of felt.
How they did. I mean, it was neat how they did variety with variety,
right?
Stand up with stand up,
yeah,
and improv. Sketch comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just like, to me, I was like, oh,
that's tough.
Lord, that was just so tough because then you could really see the difference.
Kind of came together,
yeah.
yeah.
And the tension.
Oh yeah.
So
For sure.
our first clash today was Jared Fell, who was actually a magician comedian, a magic comedian. Sounds like he does tricks on the side. And Randy Feltface. So to me, that was the most odd pairing. But
It
then,
was.
but definitely that's the one where it was kind of like, okay, there's the main forms of comedy, the more of the alt comedy scene. Before we even get into what they did, particularly on stage, did you guys think the right person went through? And that is Jared Fell in this case.
I mean, I'm honest, right? I'm always honest, right? And I love everyone, but I have to say, I don't think so.
Okay. So you were a Fell. You were a Fell.
Okay. Sorry.
You're a Fell.
Please don't hate me now.
I love it. This is important. Hey,
It's all about taste. It's
Yeah,
all-
that's true.
It's
That-
all
for sure, for sure, for
There's
sure.
taste
enough
for days.
success for
For sure,
everyone.
for sure.
You know,
I
there's
know.
enough joy for everyone.
I know that's so
You
true.
know?
That's so true. That's so true.
We've got to be honest.
I mean, it took a while, to be honest. I got the joke when he's a great magician, don't get me wrong, but I think I'm missing the funny in his performance, to be honest.
Okay.
And it takes a little too long until this punchline, which was like showing the card out of his son. That was his punchline.
And the
in a way,
glitter,
right?
that was the fun
The
punchline.
glitter, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But
Fabulous.
that wasn't enough for me, to be frankly
Right.
honest. And I'm
Absolutely.
still a fan of Randy Feltface because I feel like behaving and moving like a human being and as a puppet is crazy. And then being funny on top of that?
Yeah, I would.
I agree.
You agree too?
Well,
Thank you.
And I actually, and actually, this time is not because of the magic, guys, because everyone's like, she doesn't
She hates
like
magic.
magic.
She does not like magic.
I don't like magic. It's just not my cup of tea.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
However, I really love Jared's act, but I felt like Randy also brought so many punchlines that Jared didn't bring. But then again, it was so tough because they're two different dynamics of comedy. So I really couldn't see who should actually go home and who shouldn't. Honestly, it was too difficult for me.
It is very difficult because I love magic, so I thought Jared was amazing. I mean, holy cow, he can trick anyone right in front of them. How in the world do you do this? I mean, he's young, so it's not like he's old and it's oh, you've been working on this for 7 years. No, he's
The prospector voice. Love it.
But it's I was blown away by his magic, but I have to go with my colleagues here. He just wasn't bringing enough funny. Randy Feltface was just on point all the time. His physicality, and he's super funny. Like every other second, it's just hysterical. But I love them both. And kudos that Jared went through. But
And also the survey topic is a topic we all know about, right? I mean, how often did we fill out a survey and we don't like it anymore? So I felt that.
That's what I was going to
So-
mention because there's something to be said about being consistent in character, right? So we've seen Feltface twice in this competition, and both of his bits come from a place of just being absolutely exasperated at the most mundane things that we all encounter every day.
Exactly.
So for consistency or degree of difficulty, I thought Randy was going to go through, but then it was swerve, bruh, and magic goes on. So we don't know. I think it was awesome it came first because that was definitely anything can go on the show. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
What did you
Mind-blowing.
guys feel? What did you think?
You know what? Here's the thing. On the other side, it's you meet everybody and you just immediately fall in love with people. You know.
could have loved Jared.
And
Yes.
yeah.
Jared. Randy, I have to say, is a little bit. I mean, he's a little more difficult. If I may, Feltface. He is just no. Well, these are hysterical people who are also really lovely.
Right.
And and watching people go home at the end of the night, that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
That is
Right,
a hard
right.
bus ride.
That is a hard. That's a sad.
It's you have to take the train, a little bus back to
Yeah.
the hotel. And I'm
Yes.
oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Did
It's
you play
hard.
sad
It's
music?
hard.
Do you play sad music?
No, everybody's just really quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Right.
it's
Because it's
The loser bus, yeah.
Yeah, and there's the people who
won,
moved on, and the people who didn't, and we're all on the bus together.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
Oh,
So the
wow.
winners and the not so winners are on
So
the same bus.
it's that awkward what do you say?
Yeah. Hey man, you killed it. That's
Right?
right.
And then you basically just go, hey, and like we say, it may not be theater for whoever, but it's theater for someone.
Right,
You know,
right.
like comedy,
Oh, yeah.
like everything, it's all about personal taste.
For sure,
You
for
know?
sure.
Right.
I've never been a big prop comedian.
Yeah.
But there are people who love that.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure, for sure.
So that's, and mostly you just said, we love you. Let's go out for a drink.
Yes.
That's our cure for everything. Let's go for a drink. Let's go
Yeah,
out.
that always works. For
That
sure.
is a cure. That is a cure.
That's right. Ignore the pain. So that's our thing.
Drink it away.
Always
Drink it away.
easy for us to
Exactly.
say it, right?
got the fifth of whiskey right here in the bus. All right, so, before we move on to our next comedy clash, Ben, can you do us all a favor and tell us how the world can tune into AfterBuzz and all this other programming?
Oh, yeah. So, again, we definitely wanted to say thank you to all of you guys, right? You basically joining in every week, right? Supporting us. You make us basically the ESPN of TV talk, and we are really thankful for that. And I have to say that again. Also, everyone who's listening right now, 5 thumbs.
Give us
wanna
5
have
thumbs up.
5 thumbs, people, on YouTube, and also stars. 5 stars too, you know? Because we want to continue, right? We love what we do. We like a family here. Everyone really enjoys us. We have beautiful guests for now.
Stop it.
Oh, come on now, you know. But we definitely want to continue, so please support us in the future. We're very thankful for that, and here we go.
You've been here 5 weeks. You never said beautiful host. I am offended.
Oh, no, he's the most beautiful host on the planet.
He's an amazing host.
He's funny.
Lobito.
You have
He's
to-
a bomb diggity, and he's an incredible comic.
I'm just doing that because of all the AfterBuzz shows I'm on. This is the only show my mom watches, so I gotta put myself on, you know. So, hi, Mama.
You have good
Well, he
teeth.
is great, Mom. He's amazing.
Your child is
But
very
you know what?
good.
People don't stand in front of the Mona Lisa and go, "That's beautiful." They just know it.
Oh, see that?
That's the
I'm gonna
thing
cut
you
that
have.
out.
That's
Have a
the-
self-affirmation on tape every day.
But doesn't he has great teeth?
You know what? Flossing is a good
I mean, I'm
Thank you.
that
I'm a
serious
big
about that.
flosser.
Yes.
Yes.
Good
Oh, you
job,
are?
Mom. Teaching your boy
I love
here.
it. I can't tell clean with that.
In our second clash of the day, we had Jesus Trey against Takara Williams. When they announced that this was going to be a clash, all of us were like, ooh.
Yeah.
Heavyweight title bout right off the rip. Zakiyyah, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think going into this clash? I mean, what was going through your mind?
I didn't want anyone to go home. No.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Just going into it
it was.
because they're both my faves. Like stand up, period. Hands down, they are both amazing. They have such good content.
Yeah.
And I was so sad. So either way, I knew I was gonna be sad with any decision.
I mean, I was thinking about it for a second, right? And then I was just like, you know, for 2 seconds. But honestly, the thing is, we talked about Takara last week already, right? And we all agreed that she's Takara.
It's
So
the
Takara
German in him,
Williams.
that's all.
American accent.
Yeah, my American accent is back. Anyway, no, but Takara, she's great. So for me, she's a pro.
Yes.
Right? She's a pro. So I feel like she has to be somewhere else already. That's what I feel, right? She has to earn like her own shows or whatever. So from that point of view, I felt like Jesus needs a bigger chance to basically show the world what he's capable of doing. So that's where I was coming from, because he's more like the underdog in a way. And I was like, give this guy a chance and just make him blow up, and then he goes his way, right? Because she's gonna make it anyway. That's how I feel. But she was strong too, obviously. So
They're
do you know what I'm saying?
They're both gonna make it as stand-up comics.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Extremely strong comedians. Like they're gonna have their own Netflix special. So don't worry about it.
sure.
Jesús,
Oh,
mi
no,
amor.
for sure.
Tú sabes lo que va a pasar. You're gonna get your own Netflix special, papi. Don't worry about it.
I think
So
that
don't
Jesus
worry
is
about it.
brilliant.
He
Yeah,
is.
he is.
He's great.
Yes, and I love Takara too. She's amazing.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
both amazing. That was very difficult.
Yeah.
And he stepped it up, and he even stepped it up.
He
I think he was
did.
much stronger than last week.
Yeah, he definitely
For sure.
was.
I have to agree there. Takara, her first performance was definitely one of the most polished ones. It came out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah.
We were
Yeah,
like, oh my
right.
gosh.
Yes.
Jesus, I mean, the legend goes that he went to the comics book every day for a year and to practice his craft. And I worked with him before, and I can tell you that there's a lot more potential there. The roof is like up there for him. And
Oh, yeah, you know him,
To
right?
have them go head to
yeah.
head, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the Captain America shield and Thor's hammer. Like, explosions were going everywhere. It was a tough call, but I mean, ultimately, I think the judges made the right decision. I mean, Jesus can learn from this and really apply it to his next level of comedy. At least I thought. The question here, though, what is the potential for Takara, though? How far can she go? Do you think she can possibly win this all? I know I'm jumping into predictions, but just because of her 2 performances, we're all like, oh my gosh, it's her. Do we think she has a chance of being in the?
I mean, I
Yeah.
know she's gonna
I
go
wanna ask you
really
guys.
far.
Yeah.
I know she's gonna go really, really
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
So she's gonna be going head to head with a lot of people. But I think that I don't know. I mean, like her first performance was way stronger than her second one. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if like she's used her top stand-up bits for the first performance, and then like it's gonna like trickle down. It's still gonna be amazing. But I'm not,
No, I just wanted to mention, because you mentioned that to me when we were watching her, that you kind of heard the joke with the pants and with the jeans before. So
Well,
I'm
she's
just
been
curious
on
about
Laugh
that.
Factor.
You know,
I've
tell me
heard
about
it
that.
too.
Seriously.
I've heard it's a very similar bit to what Patton Oswalt did. Not to discredit Takara. I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not trying
she's
to
amazing.
not
Right.
spread smoke, but it's something similar I heard. And I know comics have their own perspective of things. It was definitely her story dealing with her high school jeans. You can't replicate that. But I
Right.
heard a bit involving fitting into old jeans from Patton Oswalt. So to me, I was like, I'm not sure that would have been my vote, but not to say she doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys this, Frangela. I know you have this like conflict, right, of being on the show of like, yo, I want to hit it hard, but not too hard because they go forward. I want to burn out. Like, how do you, in your mind, choose what sketches to think about, to even consider when you're on a show like this?
Well, we try to address the audience, the audience that we're coming to, because we do all kinds of different things and all different kinds of humor, right? But for this particular audience, it's definitely in a groove, for real, and you have to find it and hopefully resonate in there.
Yeah, and I would say also, like, Oprah put on her old jeans a long time ago. I don't even know if you were alive.
I saw that episode.
But this is the thing about life and I think about comedy and some of the best comedians is that it does remind you of you and your life, and it's tangible, and it is, like you said, a different perspective. I think that what's hard about this show, the really hard thing is 2 minutes.
That's true.
That I don't care how good of a stand-up you are
to get it done in 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and they mean it.
Yeah.
Like if you went over, they were going to cut it out.
Right.
Because they're like, this needs to be 2 minutes, and that's very hard to do. So that's what I tell people. I'm like, everybody is killing it. Like that is to do that quickly. Shows people's skill level.
I'm definitely in agreement, and I feel like it's so hard to say like who's gonna win it all. It's something that's so wide. To me, I feel like they're all gonna go so many amazing places, so it's hard to say like you're gonna be up here and you're gonna be down here and you're gonna be in this, and it's like
they're all gonna be successful.
Yeah, they're all gonna be successful.
It isn't the Hunger Games. We don't die. And this is the thing, like we say, and we firmly believe this, there is an infinite amount of success, there's an infinite amount of joy, there's an infinite amount of love on this planet. So but one person winning here doesn't mean they're not going to win the next thing, or they're done.
Or not winning. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what? But one of the things is just it's excellent watching everybody be. It's more like a festival backstage than a competition. And this, I'm gonna tell you something. When we got to this round, that's when you felt it. It felt like a deep cut.
Oh yeah, because after that first night, there were some people who, you know what, and it taught me a valuable lesson to remember to never judge people on one moment.
Right. Right. That's a very good point.
Because there were people backstage, and you're waiting to find out who won it, and there's some people who never smile and whatever. And I was like, oh, he seems like he's not very nice. And then the second it was over, you just saw all of that melt.
Right.
And he was like, hugging everybody and laughing, and I was like, oh, that's right. People get scared, they're nervous, and it's there's a lot of tension. So that's the thing. It's like you're having fun, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute,
this is a competition.
Like you get on the stage, you're like, oh, that's right.
Yes.
There's that part, the judgy part.
Yes.
Right.
I totally agree because all of you are going to be super uberly successful. There's just so much talent on this show. It's like so freaking ridiculous. It's like over the top.
I mean,
like, so it doesn't even matter. Whoever goes home, like, trust me, I'm not saying this just to make you feel better. You're all going to be successful.
Exactly. And just let me throw this in here. You both are already very successful. I mean, producing and writing on Fox, Oxygen, what else? BT, OWN. So if you guys don't know, do your research. These ladies are absolutely amazing.
Oh, they are.
Absolutely. So you're welcome.
But that's what I like about those shows, to be honest. Like, if it's this kind of show or all these talent shows that we have, I think, like, even if you don't win it, you have an audience, you have a platform. Millions of people see you. So I believe everyone who's on these shows will get something out of it. Bottom line.
Another thing too, I'm gonna say it takes a lot for somebody to come up and put themselves out there on a show like this.
Sure.
I'm sure that there are people who are very good, who got asked or thought that they were told to do it or something like that, who turned it down or said no, I'm not gonna do it. It's a hard thing.
That's right.
Because everybody, the whole world sees you.
For sure.
I find that so funny too, because everybody's a critic, right? Mostly us.
It's so true.
What we do is sit around and judge. But this thing, we judge positively also. It's not, we just, if something looks good, we're like, that, you look good,
Right.
It is very hard and I think I always find the cheap seats of life, you know, the people who, the more, when you look on social media, the more hostile or kind of unnecessarily mean people sometimes are. And I haven't seen that really in this so far in this competition on social media. But, you know, there are those haters out there. It really does read as haterade. You know, it doesn't, you're like, you know what, I'm not sure this is a viable critique of this person's performance so much as it is of your own life choices. Right. Yeah. You know, and where you wish you were, and how maybe you wish you had that courage or that push to put yourself forward.
Exactly.
And that's I'm gonna snap all up in here. Snap it up in this corner. I'm gonna snap up in this corner.
Amen.
So many snaps.
How long have you girls been together? Because it is so
20
unison.
20 years, so we are 29-ish years old. No, we've been friends for about 20 years, 21 years.
So
29 plus.
And holding.
It feels like a marriage almost, right?
It
Right.
is.
Right.
You know, when you're a duo and you work together, you know, she's the godmother of my daughter. She was the maid of honor in my wedding. You know?
But you live separately, right?
We do.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean, you never know.
I'm married to someone else.
What goes on in Europe, bro?
But nobody
We are
ever
in LA. Everyone has a roommate.
No, actually, you're right. We're gonna roommate, man.
In Chicago, we lived in the same apartment building above and below each other.
Oh, that's Chicago. Yeah.
Is that how you guys met?
Yeah, we both worked at Second City in Chicago.
Yeah.
And that's how
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love
Nice.
Second City.
Yeah.
Part of
That's
it.
amazing.
It continues. We had sketch for a sketch. JK Studios taking on Kids These Days. Now, of the four clashes today, this to me was the weakest clash, and we'll get into it for why I feel the worst reason. But Kids These Days had a musical sketch, a boy band that was woke, versus JK Studios and their Viking sketch, who are into self-care. Ben, Schnau, what do you think?
I like the boy band thing. I grew up with boy bands, you know. I'm one of the biggest NSYNC and Backstreet Boys fans. Oh yeah, I love that.
That explains the jean jacket situation.
Yo, we're doing Bring the Roast now, too? Like, what you doing?
Shots fired.
Stop it.
You just want it that way, boo. You just
Germany,
want
did you hear that, Germany? No. But they were huge in Germany, right? Huge boy bands, right? And I liked it. I think like the performance was on point. Even the singing was good. I'm not sure if they're professional singers, but they sounded very legit to me, right?
They're fine.
And then the second...
They're serviceable. They're comedians. I'm just, all right.
That was very serious.
All right, I'm telling deaf. I'm hater rating. Did you see what Wesley said? I'm hater rating.
You sound like me now.
That's a viable.
That's the song.
Hey,
I appreciate
you know what we
that.
say? Every note is a possibility.
That's definitely true. I can note all the time ago.
But you sounded like me right now. But the second, I couldn't connect with it. Sorry, it wasn't really funny to me. I have to say that.
Kids These Days or JK Studios.
JK Studios, who did the kind of Vikings
Viking.
kind
Yeah,
of
the whole Viking with the journal at the
That was
end
kind of
there,
hard
yeah.
for me, to be honest. Sure. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I like to have my own opinions, but I'm gonna echo on that. I don't know why the JK was not resonating with me this time around, but I do love them. They're freaking totally creative and funny. Kids These Days did have a feel of, I don't know, like back in school.
Yeah, exactly.
It was cute. I don't know. It must have resonated with me more
Yes.
than the whole yoga and dreaming and the massage train and the whole.
So I agree.
But
But so I feel like both performance resonated with me because I had this chapter in my life, still going through that chapter where I was journaling and manifesting and yoga. So for me, I'm like, that's funny. And then also JK Studios, they had my heart as well because I thought like equal pay, like it was super cute, it was super funny, and it was relatable, and it brought a topic again that we needed to hear, but in a way that we all felt comfortable and like we can all laugh at it.
Equal pay.
Yes.
This is why I was torn. On the Kids These Days side, it was a musical sketch, but the structure wasn't there. It was kind of like, here's our song, beginning and end. It was catchy, it was fun, but then it was kind of like waiting for a bus. But on the other side, JK Studios, the structure was there. It was a problem, an escalation, and a reversal, but the jokes weren't there. So I'm sitting there going, I got two halves of two groups. Who do I pick? And I didn't want to be in the judge's position at all for this one.
No.
It was a difficult decision.
Very difficult.
But they had JK going on. So
I was basing it on like their last performance because I was like, ooh, this is kind of, even though I like Kids These Days, I love you both, but
they picked the
Kids
Vikings,
These Days,
right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
the JK.
Because from a writing standpoint, it makes sense. That it's an absurd world, and then it escalates the back row.
Yeah.
So I was fine with it. It's just kind of like I can't say, "Yo, this is a sketch right here." Like I felt like that last
Right here.
here's a sketch. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a tough
I was just
critic.
trying. It just felt like that they were trying too hard to be funny this
That's
time.
also
Last time
fair.
was different to me, but this time I just didn't feel it.
Hey,
You know.
you
So.
can do the same bit in a different room, and it can hit differently.
Oh, for
every
sure.
time,
That's
man.
Coming back to
It's a
personal
weird
taste.
room.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Yeah.
a weird room too. It's very big.
Right.
You know,
It's
and
huge.
and
Okay.
so and I think when you do sketch comedy, you know, at Second City when we did sketch, we don't have props, so we use chairs and that's it. So suddenly we have this set built. You know, you look at these kids and like suddenly they did such a great job on the production.
Right.
It's gorgeous. Like but it is a hard space for sketch, I think, especially.
Yeah.
You know, and for variety, and when you think about the singer-songwriter kind of thing, that people they're used to
it's a
more
more
intimate
intimate room.
settings.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So it's a very hard room for that.
It's very telling.
Right, but
Sorry,
I'm
Chrissy.
telling you, but yours hit your bit
Well, yes, it
with
did.
the movie theater. That hit.
Just
I mean, like everyone was going wild over
Yeah.
you
It was,
ladies.
it was totally fun because we got to be us and just be us and
Yes.
be fun, and that is just us.
Yes.
And but it was great to get to watch it because we, you know, the effects and all that, we can't see happening. So that was really amazing to get to
that
see
was
how
fun.
cool it
Lots of
looked.
fun.
But that
You
must be so
know?
tough. How did you do the timing if you couldn't even see it? I mean, how does that work?
You just, you know what?
I mean, it's just
You
like
gotta
that-
feel it. It's like
just
being in
gotta
a band.
feel it.
Right.
It's
Right.
an energy.
Take notes,
You tap into the universal flow.
Yeah, no, these girls are like, oh God. They're connected, baby.
I love how sync you are.
probably
Like
don't
it's
know, too.
always, never fails.
We do a lot of
Always.
twin speak, and it's really freaky. Like we did actually, we just started. We take pictures of what we're wearing before we leave the house now because
We've gone
the
out.
twin dressing like each other by accident thing just got crazy.
It does.
Okay.
And it's like our mom took us shopping for her animals, and she got her one top and me the other.
Like
It's-
it was so bad one day that people were openly like, "Really, guys, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And so we're like, "Okay, from now on, we're doing a check-in before we walk out."
word. It's
Oh
like,
my God! When you
I
guys did the
believe
Second
it.
City, because I go to Second City too, did you do the whole conservatory and?
Well, yes.
the whole-
Angela's the only person in the history of Second City to have done the main stage at Detroit, Toronto, and Chicago.
Oh, wow.
She's written
Res-
10 reviews there.
Whoa.
I started at Second City when I was 15, and I, wrote, directed, and taught.
everything.
I did everything from washing dishes.
Wow.
To
Touring.
to
Heading the training centers.
I did it all.
Wow.
She did it all.
Wow.
I sold T-shirts too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to my
Like,
people.
yo, you
Hey.
are
Oh, I
an
know.
inspiration, girls.
I mean, but by the way, the scenario in the movie theater, was that really happening to you guys? Is that a real story?
Oh,
There is a real story behind that.
Okay.
It's
Because
actually the first
Okay.
time we hung out.
yes.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a sweet seminal story for us.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about it.
So we met on the stairs of our building, and she goes, hi, would you ever like to go to see a movie? And I was like, yes. So we go to see a movie, and I think it was Val Kilmer. Okay,
We think it was
Red Planet.
Which is
Which
no
if
movie,
I
just
ever
him.
see Val Kilmer, number one, okay,
Right.
I'm gonna get my $14.50 back. Okay,
a lot of bad movies.
today.
There's a lot of bad
They
movies.
wouldn't know what movie it was because they were talking the whole time.
That's what
That's
it is.
Yeah.
That's
It was
exactly
really
what
bad.
happened. That's
It was really bad.
exactly
Like the first crazy bad thing happened, and we just turned to each other like, anyway.
Oh
my goodness.
Girl, I
Like,
cannot
and
say I
that's
don't know
just-
what's going on up here.
Yeah.
And so what we actually now, as a result of that, we try to go to the movies like that 10 a.m. first show
Yes.
here in LA on like
Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
We
Okay, you know
really
what's
do
up.
because we think it's just kinder.
Right.
Because there's just no way for us to not
Yeah.
register. And sometimes people like it. Like, was it Hidalgo?
Yes.
That we did crack up the audience.
We did.
Because I had made a mistake. I
She
thought
thought-
that Hidalgo somehow, how like when you're falling asleep and you're watching TV and falling asleep. I think I had somehow transposed the movie Hidalgo's about what's his name? He's hot.
Right. Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo
I was
Mortensen.
like, that's
He's
a
in
movie.
the desert racing on a horse for some reason that escapes me.
Yeah.
So, but somehow I had meshed that with like a Die Hard movie.
So we sitting there, she going,
We love
"Girl,
action movies, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I'm so excited for Hidalgo, and she's for weeks has been like,
why you want to go see Hidalgo, girl? Why you want to
But
go
you
see
said
Hidalgo?
nothing.
It looks so
Okay.
good. It looks so
Okay.
good. So then we get there, we sit down, they in the desert, it's hot, there's a horse, they in the desert. Like 10 minutes in, I turn and way too loud, they go, are they gonna stay in the desert?
Well, she goes, when they get in this space, face. When is Bruce Willis showing up?
When
And
is Bruce Willis?
I said, this is about a horse race in the desert, fool.
Like a horse race? Who in
Yes.
the world would go do a horse race in the desert?
His dog go.
Stupid.
That's how Dabo did it.
Watch it.
Yeah.
I thought SWAT's supposed to break it up.
Now, we paid the money. You gonna sit your behind right here and watch this movie.
Where's the girl in the bikini they gonna rescue?
There's no girl in the bikini and there are no spaceships.
They still with this horse, for real. And
What?
everybody just cracked up. And then I think the movie was just us being like, oh, I don't even know what this is. And I have to be like, I am really sorry. In the future, let's ask each other these questions.
Oh man, we recorded all
my
of that. I love it. This is your new thing. We created
It's
the
totally true.
new. We created a new gig right here.
Who
Wow.
asked where Bruce Willis was? Horse racing movie in the desert.
Wow, thanks for
I
sharing
really
that.
did.
appreciate
I
it.
was like, for sure, like, this is my bad. Everybody, this is my bad.
Yeah.
I did not. I would not have brought us
Did
all
you get your money
here.
back, by the way? Or you just got to vote
No, we just left.
I bet you other people got their money back.
Yes.
I swear. They're probably like,
No,
these
people
two
were
ladies
laughing.
are
They were
camping
like,
out the store.
everybody was kind of like, I was like, I'm not the only one, right?
She kept the basket people.
Other people, did you think this was something else? So that sketch is really based on us going to the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And having that reaction, and nobody can shut us up.
I can visualize it. That's so funny.
Usher comes to talk to us, they end up staying and talking.
Yes.
Like they don't.
No, this is why I could not take my mom to the movies because she would not stop talking.
I know, yeah.
Exactly. And just
Wow.
like random things. We'll be like, I like that shirt. You know, just like it doesn't even have to be plot driven.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, boo thing.
I just can't understand how it's so natural for you to just make me laugh. Like, I love it.
They're amazing.
I literally
Yeah, but it's what I
love
feel
it.
about you guys. I think you are just naturally funny.
Natural.
I think some people are just like that, like you
We
are.
work at it.
We
You
work
know?
at it. We've
Yeah.
worked really hard to be
Really?
funny.
This is it's hard for it's
Yes.
the thing.
Yeah,
I will say
absolutely,
this.
sure.
But you
it's-
also like
it's-
that, I feel.
As a kid, and I think you had a similar experience for me, making people laugh. Especially my mother, who worked really hard, you know, and she'd come home after a hard day's work, and I just wanted to make her laugh. I just wanted her to
I can relate.
smile and relax and get out of her suit and just be able to chill. And so, and then I also learned later on when I got picked on that if you can make people laugh,
They'll leave you
you can
alone.
avoid getting beat up.
Yep.
And that is a huge motivator.
Yes.
To
To hone one's comedy skills, right?
So, and then Second City, you know, you get to perform, especially when I first started, you know, you do sketches that were from, older casts and stuff. So you have this opportunity to work with material that everybody knows works, and then write your own.
Right.
Too. And so you learn, and when you're performing in front of a lot, that's where we love to do, live audiences.
Yes.
Because it's that give and the take and feeling what works and what doesn't work. And so I would say for us, what's hard about a competition like this is sticking to the script.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
We want to improvise.
we
You know what I'm saying?
improvise,
Yeah,
exactly.
And we
For
go
sure.
with moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And things happen, but that you're like, no, we do have to stick with this script. This is what we said.
That's
we
what
would
they
do.
said before.
And there's a time limit.
Yeah.
you
Right,
know?
right.
So who built this? I mean, did you guys want the set to look the way it looked?
No, they just showed it up. They showed up
They
and
did it
did that.
all. And
They
people
made
were
those
like,
choices.
oh, that was
We
smart
didn't
to
make
give the
those
judges
choices.
popcorn. We didn't know there was popcorn until we got on stage.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, here's some popcorn, and they were like,
Yeah.
we're like, can we eat it? They're like, oh, okay.
I was
So
like,
you
wow,
didn't
look
even
at
have
Fran-
a rehearsal with all
Well,
that
you did,
stuff.
but
like
not
what?
with everything
with
all
everything
set up.
else.
No.
Because the thing is,
Oh.
in the effort because it's a competition, you know, they would move you around from room to room, because all the acts did, but they didn't want you to see each other or see each other's acts.
Right.
So they couldn't like put up your set until
Oh,
it
that's
was
right.
time, because other people would see it, you know. So they were very careful about that. So it's weird to people when I'm like, oh, I didn't even know, like the first
Yeah.
first 4 shows, I was like, I didn't even know this person was on the show. You know, like, because we didn't meet
Never
them.
saw them.
Interesting.
You know, so
Gotcha.
Amazing.
That's
so for us, this show, for everybody who's it's happening for us too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
right,
every
right,
week.
right,
Yeah.
right,
We got
for
one
sure.
more comedy clash
Oh, yeah.
today. Morgan J takes on Kristen Key in a musical comedy clash extravaganza, a little bit of both. Morgan J, which is apparently the Ben's #1 fan of Morgan J, actually is going forward. I wanted you to get your opinions first, because you just loved him from the first time he performed, and you thought this time was over the top. Were you down for the text fight?
I loved it. I mean, I feel like he's a great singer-songwriter, first of all, to be honest. I feel like
Yes.
he's funny, too, on top of it, how he basically creates the punchlines and everything with the ... for example. But I feel like if you take the comedy away, he's also like a great musician, as I just mentioned, right? So I like that about him. I have a lot of respect for musicians, because I know how hard it is. I do the same thing. So, and he's combining that with comedy on top, and it even sounds great, even like JT kind of a little bit, you know. I was like, wow, he nails it.
He's charming, man.
But
Really
then I
is.
have to say, coming back to Kristen Key, you know, when I was watching her, I was like, oh, wow. She surprised me a little bit because I really liked her story.
Yeah.
I feel like from a singing perspective, she's maybe not as good as he is, but the story was really compelling to me.
Sure.
So I was very, I don't know how you guys feel about that. I was very surprised.
For me, so I think Morgan brought it. This round, he brought it. Kristen, like, she brought it the last time, which I love the whole bit that she did with Cinderella and being drunk, the drunk Cinderella. But Morgan, honestly, like, it set with me the whole texting and seeing the ... I'm like, yes, that's so
Hands
annoying.
up, church style, yes.
Yes. Please tell me.
Why do you guys do that all the time?
Yes.
I mean, seriously, guys, I had that too, ... What does ... mean? It means, like, get the fuck out of here, right?
My mom started
I
doing
like
it,
doing-
and I don't know what she's
I like doing a bunch
Yeah.
of bitmojis and little emojis and
Yeah,
I
you
think
go
that's
ham with
cute.
emojis, for real.
Emojis,
I'm like,
yes. In our group,
Heart, arrow, W, Jupiter. What? Okay.
in our group
She
text,
was drunk.
a bunch of emojis.
Have a good show. Hat emoji. Like, I don't know what that is.
But I absolutely love Morgan, and I think he's going to bring a lot more, so I'm happy he moved on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
I loved Morgan for sure. Morgan J was really great. He's such a smooth singer, and he's funny. I thought he was even funnier last time, but he was more like a smooth singer this time. And Kristen Key, I was like, oh, you brought more funny this
Yes,
time.
yeah.
And she purposely was like, I'm going to make sure I'm a little slower
Yes.
for the judges because they were giving her that note. So I thought she really, really brought it. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so difficult. Like, I want them both to go through.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, oh, I just could not pick. I could not. I really liked her better this time.
I understand the
compared
difficulty.
to-
I think I enjoyed Morgan's more, but I wrote in my notes that I love the fact because the two songs were similar about spats between couples or wives or whatever. The fact that Kristen took a moment to change the tone before she went to her song. Because it was going to be a head-to-head thing, it wouldn't have hit nearly as hard. She kind of like, yo, shout out to him, acknowledging the elephant in the room. He slowed it down, got all sex with the fireplace. He goes, no, kayaks are like this. And I was like, that's pretty dope. Ultimately, I think by split decision, Morgan J goes on. But I think it was the right choice with the judges, overall.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the right The
I
judges
think
did the right choice.
I think what the people also like about Morgan is that he's such a great musician that they just like listening to him.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very
even,
true.
really such an incredible musician.
even if he's
like,
not, let's say,
holy
even
cow.
if he has an act which is not really that funny, people would still love listening to him because he's such a great musician, So I think that also gives him a lot of power.
I think that's what
too,
gave
you know
him
what I
the
mean?
edge. Is 'cause
Yeah, for sure, for
he's-
sure.
Yeah,
Likability
he
is a
just
big
has
part of
that
it.
edge.
Yeah.
I agree with Ben, and I don't do that a
Really?
lot. So.
You heard it here first.
Excuse me?
Speaking of Ben,
Why do you guys always...
They're like lovers quarrel in the corner.
you're like a kayak.
I still love you.
Speaking of Ben, it's now time for the new segment. Tell us something that
Oh
we haven't
my
heard before.
God, people have crazy stuff going on. I'm definitely serious. I mean, you remember I showed you the news at the very beginning, the very first episode, when I basically brought up like a tablet where we can see what shows is the most popular one.
Yeah.
And I have a new one right now. And Bring the Funny is on number 3 after The Bachelorette.
Well, that doesn't
Of
count.
That was
course,
good.
and,
That was good.
America's Got Talent, which is obviously also
But a
like,
freshman series,
but
number
like, but
3.
that's a great achievement.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like the first season and number 3 right away. That's amazing, right? With 3.77 million views.
Nice.
That means
great.
there's
That's
a whole
good.
bunch of
That's
eyes
pretty
on you,
awesome.
gal.
And then what I also would like to talk about is that I found an article about Chrissy and John Legend.
Okay.
Talking about, hey, we definitely want to have a third child. And when I read that, maybe you can see that right now, when I read that, I was like, they did something different. They were basically freezing eggs and sperm
Right.
to be in order to get these kids. And I wanted to talk about that for a second because me personally, I've never heard about that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's a thing, honey.
so
Yeah.
It's a
okay.
thing.
It is kind of weird you mentioned that the same night Chrissy was like, they had a fight at the X-Men movie with her and John. I can't picture them being like fighting and be like, oh, we're in baby. But I want to see X-Men too at the same
I
time.
absolutely just adore them both. Like, I see no wrong. You cannot do any wrong with Chrissy and John.
Okay, sweet.
So cute.
Come
It
on,
is
that's-
so
Yes.
hard to not the whole we're not supposed to interact.
Yes.
All you want to do is run over and be like, oh my god, I love you. All you want to do.
So it means if
They're
you that
amazing.
means let's put it that way. So if you are a woman and you have a hard time to convene or whatever, how do you say it, to receive or something? How do you call it?
Conceive.
Convene and receive. That's what's up.
I'm German. So anyway,
man.
so that's what you do as a woman, right?
Yeah.
You
That's
basically
one way, and
is that
also because sometimes people get older.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
know,
say.
and they
Oh.
want to be able to have the best of their body.
Yes.
You know, when it's younger.
They want
and ready
the best
to,
products
they want the
available.
Are you throwing bombs over
They
there?
want
So
that
they-
stuff fresh.
Yeah.
We have a friend who
Yeah.
she froze her eggs years ago, before she was in any kind of relationship, because she just wanted to make sure that
It was the healthiest.
it was the
Yes.
that it was
Yes.
the it was the best of the crop, which is a horrible way to put it, but I don't know what else to say.
so that means I can get the best sperm I have
Yes.
and become a dad.
I don't know, man.
Well, you
I
want
just-
those little guys to swim up and be
I
like
mean,
champion.
I want
As
that.
we get older, your body starts saying, "Please don't do this."
Yes.
And so it's something that people do to just preserve their
consideration.
options.
Yeah.
You know.
I might consider that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
man.
so the next thing I wanted to
There's a
talk
cost,
about.
Ben, just so you know.
That's okay.
It's not for
That's okay. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is about you guys.
Me or them? Oh, our guest,
yeah,
Frangela.
of course. I mean, guys, I'm prepared. Excuse me. And what I found is like me time with Frangela.
Yes.
And I definitely wanted to talk about that because I found that one episode where you guys talking about open relationships, and you have that one guy on the show, and his girlfriend is on the line.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that show in this episode.
That was crazy because I was like, "Oh, girl, you gonna come on the show and talk about it? You gonna put your business out in the street?
We were kind of blown
I'm
away.
here for you. I am here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for this.
Yes.
Let's talk about it."
But what was the end result of that episode? Because what happened? Did they?
I think two of them are. Didn't it? Wasn't just two of them are together?
Yeah.
I think, or they were getting married, or am I confusing that with another freaky couple?
Yeah.
So they didn't break up after it.
No, they didn't break
They
up.
didn't break up. I think everything was fine. I mean, it's, you know what? It's one of those things where we were, that episode, especially exactly what you're doing, we're sitting there looking like, wow.
Exactly.
And I have to keep reminding myself, oh, you're supposed to have questions and stuff. You're supposed to like be in this. You can't just sit there and stare at them and go like, wow. That's how I am.
The universal, like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Because I cannot imagine what would happen if I tried to walk up in my mama's house like, this is my boyfriend and this is my other boyfriend. I don't know what she would do.
She'd be like, wow.
Should be like pack up and leave.
I got the last one, please. I have one more. I have to share that with you guys.
Okay, hit me.
You have to explain that picture, people. You guys. I mean, first of all, I love the hair. I love Dennis Rodman too.
That is
But
me.
how did you get that done?
This is the craziest. So it's Patty LaBelle and Dennis Rodman. So it's Patty LaBelle when she was still doing her hair. Like that. And Dennis Rodman before he became what we now call Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
Whatever
Right,
that creature is.
right.
And I'm like 16, I think.
Wow.
16 or 17. I think I'm 16 actually because I cut my hair without permission.
Well, that's right age, yeah.
So
You're
this
about
was
that age?
backstage at a concert. And that my this friend of the family was a executive at Anheuser-Busch, and so they had this Super Fest. It is one of these big concerts, all these acts, and so he got me backstage, and he just took care of me. He had whoever photographers going around taking pictures. So I remember, I forget why I put it up recently. There was a reason for it. I can't remember when it was happening in the news that day, but I was
Really
like,
the reason
this
for
is
Dennis Rodman.
in life. I look at our lives and we constantly are like, this is so crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have told me when I was that age what that would look like now.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the fact that like we do a lot of news and we have a pop culture
Podcast.
We have a podcast. We have a
Right.
news
The
podcast.
final word and idiot of the week.
Yeah, and so that's much more news. So we like, for example, like I don't know if you know who Malcolm Nance is. He's a former
Yeah, the
spy.
part that had America. I had that book.
We
He saw
hang
my
out
book,
with
yeah.
we hang out with Malcolm Nance now,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just crazy to me. Like we'll be out with Malcolm Nance going to go see something, and we're like,
His
this is
eyes
like,
were so
hanging out with a
intense. I met
spy.
Malcolm Nance at Politicon.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, Mick, you said my book? He's like, what's your name? I was like, oh, it's Flobo. He's like, is it Flobo? I don't know, man. He's on my book.
I'm gonna send him that clip. I'm gonna send him that clip.
Please. It was like, oh
With
my
like
God.
that part of his pinky, he
Yeah.
you know it.
Yeah.
And like, it just trips me out how life can be if you're open to life and experiences.
Oh, yeah, for
like
sure.
how weird is it? I have that picture because people are like, wait a minute, Dennis Rodman used to be a cute, sweet little boy. Look how sweet he looks.
Yeah.
We all come from someplace.
That's right. It takes a while to get crazy.
That's an awesome picture. So yeah, that's from me.
Oh,
Thanks
that's
so
like
much. Thank
comedy.
that.
You're a good researcher.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying.
Like outside your
funny
apartment,
thing.
just
He's like,
checking it
I'm
out.
trying.
So, are any other celebrity sightings since doing the show Bring the Funny? I know it's been a couple weeks between episodes. Have you seen anyone in the lots or anything?
Well, you know what? It's lovely to see like John Legend come on the show.
Oh, he would come
Yes.
by all the time.
You
Oh
know?
my gosh.
I'm waiting
That
to get
was
to really
In a
talk
good
to
way,
him.
or kind of like,
don't
oh,
get to
here's
talk to
John
him
again.
either.
Yeah.
He would just drop off his laundry. No,
Yeah.
no, he came
do
up
hear-
to
You
say-
sure he's not searching for that other comedian that was flirting with his wife?
Oh, yeah.
Matt, that would be Matt Rife.
Yeah, that's
We have seen him at the Laugh Factory. Yeah.
pretty Matt right there.
Delicious.
That's what I said. It's like always the wind's blowing in his hair.
Yeah.
when he
No, I
walks
heard that.
away.
That was hysterical. He walks on a stage and it's just like there's wind.
Yes.
It's true. And there wasn't any. It just does that for him.
Exactly.
That's how the wind behaves for Matt.
Yeah, we stood there and it was nothing.
Yes.
The
I'm
wind's
like,
going
can
around.
you spit on me or something? I'm just like doing
the
this.
wind's
to
going
try to-
around you guys and just hitting that up.
Can your
But Matt
family,
is-
please? Can your family?
So tell me more about your podcast and the impetus behind that. How that got started? What's the idea? What's the mission goal?
Well, we have a whole nother life, and that is in the political realm. And we do a lot of, so we're social
done
political
Politicon.
status,
Okay.
Yes.
Politicon, and all that stuff. And so we talk about the days of, everything that's going on in the news, and then we give our final word on it. So if you want a funny perspective, even I know it's hard because
hard.
we're
It
going
can be
through some
hard right now.
hard things.
Yes.
But if you want some hope and hilarity
Yes.
at this
That's what we
time,
do.
go get yourself the final
But
word.
it is also,
We need it.
then we do Idiot of the Week, which is just fun.
Yes.
Just
That
funny.
is stupid stories from around the world. So people send us, and you've heard a lot of them, the stories you talk about with people like, did you hear about the woman who had a pool on the top of her, kiddie pool on the top of her car, and she had her kids in it to hold it down?
Oh,
and
my
she was
God.
driving.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we
Yes.
could go on and on about idiot stories. So we've
Right.
been
There are a
doing...
lot of idiots.
Oh,
This
but
is why
they don't
people
sleep.
that are not Americans are usually like, these stupid Americans.
I never thought that in my life.
He's stupid American.
He would know.
But
German
there are
would know.
stories that we all can agree that
Yes.
this is dumb.
I love
Dumb,
you guys.
just dumb.
Yeah.
So that's just like, that's the palate cleanse I call it for life. It's like, here's your news. We like to think of ourselves as America's BFFs, right?
Yeah.
We're watching the news so you don't have to.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know what
That's
I
awesome.
mean?
That's awesome.
Because it can be a little
like
hard,
that.
it can be a little draining.
A
So
lot.
we do it, and then you just check in with us, and we tell you what's happening.
So this might be a little question, but is there weeks where you're like, oh my gosh, people are just too dumb this week? There's so much news to cover.
I'm going to tell you,
Too
we
much-
have a stack.
I'm not kidding, a stack.
Nice.
And people
Of
get upset because, like,
stories.
they're like, oh, but you didn't read my idiot. I'm like, do you know how many there were?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hundreds, and we have reams.
And people
of
email them
idiot
to us.
stories.
Yeah.
They don't
Every
look
story
them
they
up.
think is stupid.
We do not look them up.
But
people
yeah,
send
people just
them to
send them
us.
to us.
So you guys like do a lot of different things. So do you like what's your schedule like during the week? when
Busy.
you're- Very busy.
And I will say often
Capital.
it has that we have to do check-ins a lot. Like I have to call and be like, okay, wait, I know I've asked this 3 times. Where are we going?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Because we just senior produced a television show called Punchline that's on Fox.
Yes.
Remember
Yes.
Jamie Kennedy's in
Yeah,
that.
Jamie Kennedy was
Hysterical.
hysterical.
And
Tony
Lunel,
Baker's on that too,
Let
yeah.
me tell you about a dream
Oh my
team.
gosh.
It's hilarious. Just them together is
He and
hilarious.
Lunel.
I
There were so many
interviewed
great people.
Lunel twice. She was my first ever red carpet interview, and I absolutely love her.
She's
wonderful.
amazing.
Isn't she special?
Oh,
She's
geez.
so
She's
amazing.
a lovely, sweet,
Yes.
friendly, warm,
And hilarious.
and hilarious
Yes.
and dirty
It's a
and
great
raw.
team.
Yes.
All the
Oh,
right
that was
ways.
dirty. I was like, I don't know if I'm old enough to be in this show.
And that's
Just for grown folks.
And we were producing that, so we weren't on camera, but we were helping them and having to say to Lunel, please don't say these words.
Yeah.
She said earlier we're funny, but they're not TV
And that's all.
words.
There's,
They're not
you know what?
TV
It's like a CVS receipt of words.
So
Okay, that you
like, I
can't
really
say.
need you to avoid all this.
Yeah.
All this. It was
I
very
can't say
funny.
that.
Is there
I can't
another
say
way to
that.
say
I
it?
can't say
And
that.
you
I
know,
can't say
you
that.
definitely can't say that.
No, Lunel, I need you
Right.
to not. We Lunel down by like 90%.
Yes.
She's probably like, so I can't say anything.
Right.
This is the thing, and then of course she's hysterical no matter what she does, you
Uh-huh.
know.
So
But
she
it's
can
like-
say anything.
That's right.
That's how funny she
But the thing is,
Yes.
we told them we went to the booth and we're like, be ready with that button.
right?
The bam button, the bluzz it
The
out
beep,
button.
beep,
Yeah,
beep.
be ready with the button because we don't know. We don't know.
That's what's up.
Oh my gosh. So when did you guys? Because I envision a sketch when you first said, hey, we should be a duo? How did that go?
Well, you know what? You know how you have a best friend and you call them, and women really do understand this. You have a best friend you call every night after work, you be like, girl, let me tell you what happened.
Yes.
Let me tell you how these folks are acting up.
You know?
Or in everything. And so I realized, I was like, wait a minute. If I can go to work with my best friend and we don't have to talk about it at the end, we can talk about it while we at work.
Basically, like, we had been performing with other people and improvising, and doing sketch and all that kind of stuff. And then this cartoon happened, Hey Moni, and that I got cast in, and I wrote the character Bible and all this stuff for, and then it was on ESPN. Look at me, I'm looking at ESPN. Yeah. It was on BET and Oxygen first, and then Ultimate BET.
Wow.
And they were like, we need you to have best friend characters. We were like, how about my best friend?
Right.
So that was like the first time that we were sort of like a unit.
Yeah.
And then Frangela Duo happened because people can't, for some reason, tell us apart.
They'd be like, which one are you? Are you Angie?
Are
You Fran? You
Angie?
Fran?
No, you may not.
Which one the little one?
You've seen this.
Who's the little
I'm almost a foot taller than her.
Right.
Which one's the little one?
Right. But so what happened is one day, literally people would go, Angie Fran, and some guy one day just was like, oh, just Frangela. And we were like, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So someone just said that randomly.
Because they
Wow.
couldn't, and we were just like, we'll just be that. That's simpler.
Yeah, like,
That's
I'm not gonna
awesome.
pay you any kind of
Simpler.
royalty fees for this. I'm taking
Yeah,
it for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I call myself Francis sometimes. So
Whoa.
I have done it. I have
It's all
done it
good.
many
That's-
times.
Same.
It's that bad.
And I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like you both are I only seen you both like as one of a kind. Like I haven't ever seen anything like
you
sure.
are
it.
my favorite.
Yes.
Favorite who loves
Non-German,
AfterBuzz
you're my
TV.
favorite.
Yeah.
You're my favorite other people.
Thank you.
Precisely.
She's right
Did
about
you hear
that,
that?
though.
Yes.
Like, there
I'm an
is
opposite.
nothing else like
No.
you
Thank
on the
you.
show. So
Thank you
I can't
very
wait to
much.
see the clash because I can't even imagine who
I
it would
can't
be.
even. I couldn't even
Either
say
can
it.
we.
Sorry.
Cannot.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. The Comedy Clash continues. Friends, so glad you have us in the studio. Where can the world find you on the internet and all over the world? And all that stuff?
Frangela Duo, that's DUO. And you can go to frangela.com for more info about what we're doing. But just follow us, please, on Twitter and every place else, Instagram.
Yes.
All that.
Ben, where can the world find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Benjamin Schnau, SCHNAU, like the dog, without the ZER. That's what I was saying. Also on Facebook. And I'm also doing the show on Sunday called Pennyworth. We're going to do the second episode next Sunday. Check it out, 8 p.m., people.
Wow.
And hello, my name is Zakiyyah.
Bye-bye.
I know. Well, goodbye. I'm Zakiyyah. You can find me at ZakiyyahW_.
And I'm Jackie Nova 7 across the board, and you can go to oxfilms.us because you can check out my Art of Deception feature film it's a Richard Ryan film. It's coming out this fall. I Kids on Booty.
Shout out to Booty, y'all. At Flobo Boyce on Twitter, at Flobito on Instagram, and Flobito.com. My comedy album, American for Now, is now available on Spotify. Please give it a listen because I got rent to pay. And until next time, buzz you later.
Thank you.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.